Brenton Harrison Tarrant, the main suspect in the mass shootings at 2 New Zealand mosques, has been charged with murder. The 28-year-old Australian citizen has been remanded without a plea until his next appearance in a city court on the 5th of April. On Friday, Tarrant entered 2 mosques and started shooting at worshippers, killing at least 49 people and wounding dozens of others.
Brenton Harrison Tarrant.
Handcuffed, Tarrant appeared in a Christchurch district court on Saturday. He did not speak, and his court-appointed lawyer made no application for bail or name suppression.
I do, however, make an interim order until the date of the next appearance, suppressing publication of the name of the named victim or of any matter that could lead to that person's identification. That interim order is made on the grounds that otherwise there could be undue hardship to the victim's family. On that basis, Mr. Tarrant, you are remanded in custody until 5 April at 9:15.
The Australian citizen has been charged with murder and is likely to face further charges. Friday's attack at the 2 mosques is the worst in New Zealand's history.
So from the street until the mosque and shooting, until he reaches the door. When I hear that, I think because we have no idea about what happened. So I continue pray, but I found the sound of shooting coming close to me. So I try in a hurry to finish the prayer, but I can't because they already come on the main entrance and start to go. They are 2 and start, shooting everywhere. I saw my son in the mid of the hall and my wife back and crying and shouting and bleeding, and I can't do anything for everyone. It's very hard for us. It's very severe, hard for everyone.
People don't know if their family members are alive or dead, and if they're alive, they don't know where they're based.
Funerals are planned on Saturday for some of the victims. New Zealand has described Friday's attack as an act of terrorism. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has vowed to toughen the country's gun laws. Chamgono, CGTN.
Well, certainly a story that has left many reeling in New Zealand and indeed across the world. Let's bring you more on this now. I'm joined from Mogadishu by CGTN's Abdulaziz Billo. Abdulaziz, it's believed that some Somali nationals may have been caught up in this attack in Christchurch, New Zealand. And of course, we know that Somalia's president was among the first world leaders to send a message of condolence. Just tell us a little bit more about the reaction in Somalia.
Well, Lindy, the incident on Friday in Christchurch in New Zealand, as it has been mentioned, was one of the deadliest attacks in that country, and it was condemned here in Somalia by senior government officials, among them the country's Prime Minister and also the Somali President Mohamed Farmajo. Now, as expected, when the attack happened, it was inside a mosque, and definitely it was expected that many people of different nationalities were caught up in that attack. Now, 4 individuals, including a 6-year-old boy of Somali nationality, were among those killed in that attack. 3 of them are rather grown-ups and 1 6-year-old child. And the incident, the deadliest to happen there in New Zealand, caused concerns here in Somalia. The president, in a tweet, said that the Somali government stands in solidarity with the government of New Zealand and any other country that has suffered any acts of terrorism. Now, Somalis also on social media and also in the country have expressed their deep sympathy and their deep concerns to those who lost their loved ones and those who lost their people in that attack. So the mood here in Somalia has been very, very emotional. Many people have taken to social media to express their solidarity with the victims of that deadly attack, Lindy.
And of course, Abdulaziz, it's very blatantly clear that the Muslim community of Christchurch was the intended target of this attack as a Muslim majority country. And of course, as we know, the Prime Minister of New Zealand is now calling this a terror attack. But just coming from a Muslim majority country, what is the feeling now in Somalia?
Well, one thing, Lindy, since this incident happened, many Somalis, both here in Somalia and abroad, they have expressed their solidarity with the people of New Zealand and the government of New Zealand. And the fact that the Prime Minister of New Zealand came to the front of cameras and said that this was a deliberate act of terror targeting the Muslim community in New Zealand, it created a hope among many Somalis and many Muslims. The fact that a Western leader will come and say that that was indeed an act of terror that took place there in New Zealand. And also one thing to note also is that there is no Somalis were arguing of the view that there is no justification to that murder, and they supported the comments by New Zealand authorities to label the act as an act of terror and not to sugarcoat it and say that it was a lone wolf who carried out the attack. They want and they insist that it was a terrorist attack, and they say that the Somali officials rather say that the fact that Somalia has bear the brunt of terrorism, it has suffered deadly militant attacks here in Somalia. It does not want any other country to suffer the same challenges that it continues to face every other time, and it has expressed its solidarity with the people of New Zealand during these tough times, Lindy.
And indeed, that solidarity and Somalia's call for unity echoing around the world. Thank you so much, Abdulaziz Bilo, joining us there live from Mogadishu. And as he says, 4 Somali nationals were caught up in that attack. Well, let's go live now to New Zealand, to Christchurch, where CGTN's Owen Poland is joining us now with the very latest. Owen, of course, the country, we can imagine, still reeling from the attack, as of course the main suspect made his first appearance in court. Just talk us through the very latest.
Well, I'm standing just a few hundred metres from the central mosque where 41 of the 49 victims were murdered yesterday. There's still a cordon of heavily armed police here as forensic teams work as quickly as possible to gather evidence and release the bodies to their families who are anxious to bury the dead. Throughout the day and night, thousands of people have come here to the scene to lay flowers and also pay a silent tribute. Even tonight at 11 o'clock, they keep coming. As you mentioned, 28-year-old Australian Brenton Tarrant appeared in court on one charge of murder today, but of course there's likely to be many more charges to follow, and the judge has ordered the media not to reveal his face so that he eventually gets a fair trial. Interestingly, members of his gun club say he was a reasonably normal dude, and they say they had no idea of his plans to commit mass murder.
Yeah, it's certainly something that caught a very peaceful nation completely by surprise. Oh, and another factor, of course, is that this the suspect, Brenton Tarrant, was not on any government watch list. Just talk us through the government's response now going forward.
That's right. Well, the Prime Minister actually flew to Christchurch today with senior government ministers to meet in person with the leaders of the Muslim community in Christchurch. She expressed, of course, her personal condolences and offered to help support the victims' families. However, the Prime Minister also wants answers, especially from the police and the security services, about why the 3 Australian suspects flew under the radar and did not appear on any watch lists. The Prime Minister also revealed that Brenton Tarrant obtained a gun licence in 2017 in New Zealand, and that the 5 high-powered rifles and shotguns that were used in the massacre were all bought legally. As a result, she says now is a time for change in New Zealand's gun laws, and she's specifically referring to the sale of military-style assault weapons. Back to you.
Owen Poland, thank you so much for that update. Of course, we will keep following this developing story very closely in the days to come.